everybody, and welcome back to another hard-hitting episode of Out on That Line Investigates. And this week, we are blessed with another whodunit humdinger. It's going to get real interesting. We'll be talking about our good friend of the show, Chappell Roan. But first, my good friend of the show, and co-lead investigator, Jeff. Jeff, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well, Alex. I think tonight let's do things by the book. What do you say?
Absolutely. We're as well as can be expected, and we're going to call this one right down the middle.
Can you give a briefing to the court about what's going on here?
I'd like to establish something off the top, too. Chappell Roan. People seem to have made hating Chappell Roan a sport, which engendered another sport of defending Chappell Roan. And people, in their pursuit of greatness in these two arenas, say some wild shit. So acknowledging off the top, this is very polarizing. There are a lot of people who want Chappell Roan to be wrong. There are a lot of people who are ready to spill blood if she's wrong. We have all the details up to this point. I think a pretty clear picture of what happened and some wild tidbits. So to set the stage, this is coming off the heels of like 2-3 weeks ago. She was snotty to some paparazzi. And I would just like to say, great. Paparazzi deserve absolutely no kindness. They are lower than the paramecia on fleas on dogs. Who gives a fuck about paparazzi?
I think the only ones you could really defend are the ones that they like call specifically because they're going to go do like a pap walk kind of thing.
If that's the thing, is if you're feeding the ecosystem a little bit, you're putting a little water in the terrarium, then by all means go for it. If that's like Chappell Roan and Chappell Roan's management's doing. But for the most part, when it's just, the vultures, paparazzo is literally Italian slang for Fellini came up with it. It was this classmate of his who was like super squirmy. It means mosquito, and like they're annoying, slimy mosquito pieces of shit. And if you're a paparazzo and you're watching this, don't come after me. You know it's true. But anyway, so like people were all up in arms about that. And you look at that and you go, I don't know what's controversial about trying to protect your boundaries and being annoyed when they're violated. That seems to be a big thing with Chappell Roan, where you have people who get incredibly furious with her for not being polite about enforcing her boundaries. I don't come down either way on it too much. And I'll put the question to you because it's given her a reputation of like, she hates her fans. She's kind of a mean person and difficult to deal with.
I have said for a while now, and maybe this is shared mostly privately with my wife, and I'm going to regret sharing this publicly. But Chappell Roan has always kind of given me like big time shithead vibes, and not to say she doesn't have any right to do that, but I think what people are looking at is, the kind of thing with her yelling at the paparazzi, which in a vacuum, there's no issue with telling people to stop bothering you in a place that you don't want to be bothered, right? I think there is I don't want to say an expectation because I think that's like unfair to say that about anybody, but there is a certain thing where it's like if you seek out the fame, you're also going to get what comes along with it, which is, the attention of people maybe you don't want to have the attention from. And I think it's a little bit naive to think that you can just completely sequester that sort of thing and then not expect any of the other. Now, I'm not saying she has to like play the game with them, not at all. And not saying she's wrong for telling them to stop bothering her. But I think you have to look at, and there's people that'll say like, oh, they're just doing their jobs. It's like, there's better ways to make a living than being a vulture. You could be one of the people that's just on call to take the nice pictures that they're expecting, they want to pose for. At that point, I suppose you're just a photographer. They call them pap walks, but I feel like you're just a photographer at that point. That to me is a perfectly respectable thing to do. Tracking people down outside of restaurants, outside of events, or I guess not events, because I guess you kind of expect to be seen there. But she's also had issues with people on red carpets when taking pictures and things like that, remembering them from previous experiences. And I think outside of like the paparazzi, issues she's had, is there's also I think a sense of that she just kind of plays very aloof. There is I guess somewhat of an expectation for her to sort of represent more strongly the LGBTQ community, and perhaps she probably does a lot of that stuff behind the scenes like a lot of people do. So I don't know if that's true or not, one way or the other, that she does those things, but I think that she wasn't willing to make a strong stance, in the political limelight. And again, not saying anyone has to do that, but it's just all this combination of things that people have criticized her for, I think, builds up to a moment like this where everybody wants to see the worst. Everybody expects the worst, and everybody wants to like be able to be the shark in the water that just got some chum poured in it. Everybody wants to give their takes for this. So I think for me, I don't know that I would enjoy, spending time with her personally. I enjoy the music. I mean, you can listen to our review. Like, the music has been great. She's a fantastic artist, great songwriter, really powerful voice, like very interesting artist. It sounds very different than other things that have come out around the time. But I think, and I'm not going to say I understand, because I don't understand why people like look for things to be wrong with her, but it's just, I think that gives a little bit more context about everybody. If you think she holds grudges, like, what are you doing if you're thinking about all that stuff and using it as an opportunity to make her look bad in this situation, which will wrap back into, you can let people know what we're talking about specifically on this podcast here.
Mm-hmm. So Lollapalooza's happening. You got all these different people in the mix, a lot of celebrities. So if you heard the original gossip, like what I originally heard, essentially amounted to Chappell Roan Sparta kicked a little girl into a bonfire and laughed as she screamed and watched her burn to a crisp in front of her mother and father. Is essentially what people were saying. It legitimately sounded like Chappell Roan attacked a child or like stiff-armed a child.
Mm-hmm.
It was the way people were painting it. Come to find out, this is Jude Law's daughter, and her dad, or her stepdad, is Jorginho, who's a famous footballer. I don't follow soccer. Sorry about your luck. But like, big deal guy. He's the one that kicks this off and makes it sound like she was decapitated in the square, where it was like, my stepdaughter just wanted to meet Chappell Roan, and Chappell Roan basically sicked her guard dog security guy on my child, and like, what a piece of shit, and some role model you are, and just like dragged her for it. And that set this whole thing off. The next piece of this is Chappell Roan has to come out and say, I didn't even like see a little girl or anybody, like, I have no idea what happened. And everyone goes, we don't buy that. That's fucking bullshit. That's, oh, really? And then the mom of the little girl, Catherine Harding is her name, she comes out and adds more fuel to the fire by being like, this isn't, like, I know this person that came up to my daughter. He didn't scream. He spoke intensely and he was aggressive. He didn't work for the hotel. I do not know whether or not he worked for Chappell Roan or whether or not she sent him over. So she kind of tries to take the temperature down from the husband, but basically just creates more fodder for anyone that wants Chappell Roan to be guilty. Come to find out today, as we're recording this guy, Pascal Duvier, this is a bodyguard who has worked for Kim Kardashian, I believe currently works for Sabrina Carpenter, has nothing to do with Chappell Roan. So this, as the story goes, by his own admission, he's like, I was at this hotel with my other client, ostensibly Sabrina Carpenter, and I just saw the way things were going, and there had been fan incidents where people crossed the line. So when I thought this little girl's getting too close, I decided to intervene on Chappell Roan's behalf and basically give this girl and her mom the stoplight. So Chappell Roan had nothing to do with it. He was not hotel security. He is, in fact, Sabrina Carpenter's personal bodyguard, who was also the security guard who left Kim Kardashian alone in Paris when she got robbed. This dude is so fucking bad at his job.
I did not know the piece that he was the bodyguard for other people.
Yep.
See, and I think there was also some thought that he was just kind of general security hired extra by Lollapalooza for the headliners. So like there was, so I think it became very clear that he was not, whichever way it was, he was not Chappell Roan's personal security. And I think it took the wind out of the sails of a lot of people, like, thirsty for blood on this one. But it seems to me like it was a very like innocent situation that got completely blown out of proportion.
That's exactly what it is, and we know that at the end. And then you get the people that are like, I have no sympathy for the little girl because she's a nepo baby, and it's like, well, if anyone is blameless in this situation, it's probably the 11-year-old who lost her cool. And like, yeah, you're a celebrity kid, you are technically a nepo baby, so like, the temptation is to say, act like you've been there before.
Mhm.
But I pulled this move once. We'll tell this story. I don't know if I've told it on the show, but you and the fellas and I went to see the Royal Rumble in San Antonio.
Oh yes.
And the great Mark Henry was staying at our hotel. And he is a big son of a bitch. And I love Mark Henry. And I was feeling myself. And I bolted right up to him and stuck my hand out for a hearty handshake and said, Mark Henry, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just want to let you know you're awesome and I love you. He shook my hand and I clapped him on the shoulder. He looked at my hand like he was about to rip my head off and eat it like a fresh Granny Smith apple. It was the scariest 10 seconds of my life. And then I saw his eyes say, he's not worth it, Mark. Don't do it. I just got real familiar with Mark Henry out of nowhere. Just like I freaked out. I lost myself. I was like, bah! Like,
Yeah, I somehow do remember that. I was pretty soused on that particular evening.
Jeff had his own event called the Royal Stumble. All that is to say, like, to double back to the kid was like, I understand. That was me. I wasn't even 30 yet. So, an 11-year-old losing her shit because she loves Chappell Roan and she like forgets herself. It's understandable. You have to, like, the idea of like, we're gonna hate this kid for being a nepo baby, or we're gonna hate Chappell Roan because Chappell Roan's abrasive. It's one thing if like you get shithead vibes off of her. I have not liked some things she said that I'm like, that's some shithead stuff. Primarily when kind of asked to explain, do you think oops, my pen, did you culturally appropriate drag? And she gets very defensive about it. The other thing she was like, there was this one point where she announced basically, I'm done dating men. I'm not attracted to them. Just listing out all these reasons why she's like, I'm coming out as like fully lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end goes, and men can't make great art. And I don't get offended by that, like as a man, because it's patently ridiculous. You can point in any direction and you're going to hit great art that a man made, a great art that a woman made, great art that black men made, gay men made. Drag is great art, a great art form that gay men made. Mm-hmm. So it's a patently ridiculous statement. You can't get too mad at it. But it's like, it's just the series of shithead things that make her seem unlikable. So when you get in a situation like this, everyone's salivating for a pile on because you want to take her down a peg. Like, you listen to, she was on Call Her Daddy once and she was like, everyone I know that has kids under 5 is in hell. So, dedicated mommies are going to get upset about that. Mm-hmm. She just does a really good job of getting like the wrong kind of heat. Yeah. With the wrong people, and it's led to this very, very passionate hate following where she gets into situations like this and she will never get the benefit of the doubt. Mm-mm. So, I mean, it's just like, The Simpsons, a good old-fashioned mob justice.
Yeah, that's the way that the stan culture has made things. That's the way the internet has made things. Like, Amazon ruined our ability to be patient and wait for anything. And then the internet ruined our ability to have any nuance in a situation. It's like, it's one way or the other. It's black or white. It's really, it's tough to like read about that stuff all the time and hear about that stuff all the time when it's just like, it doesn't have to be that big a deal.
No, it really doesn't. Like, is that the hill you want to die on? Is it the juice you want to squeeze? Like, again, everything she says is so harmless. Like, we all have that one friend who's a hot take factory and just always says like the most wrong, crazy shit. And if you don't know who in your friend group it is, it's probably you. Yeah. but like she strikes me as the friend who just says kind of trolly stuff, and whether or not she's trying to be one, she often comes across, and whether that's like her character or whatever, there are just times where she seems flippant, and it's like, I'm not necessarily offended by what you're saying, but you're not saying this in a very nuanced way. I understand why someone might feel attacked. I don't, but I just think that like no one deserves access to you. Like no one's entitled to that.
Mhm.
But like you said, this kind of thing does come with the territory, and you draw the wrong kind of attention to yourself by saying stuff. Again, I'm like, is it worth saying? Like, you know how people are going to react when you're like, having kids is stupid or men can't make art. To a certain extent, it's just like it's a bad idea to spout off about this like little insignificant stuff because people just build a case against you because you are successful and you are LGBT, and whatever people's reasons are for wanting to tear you down, stop putting logs on the fire. I beg of you.
Yeah.
Chappell Roan, my personal plea, you are incredibly talented. Be outspoken about shit that matters. Put your, like, it's like Jeff said, you don't have to talk about politics. You chose not to. That's like an important thing. Like that has meaning to it. Saying that people who have children are miserable is like, why? You saw a pile of dog shit and you stepped in it on purpose. Like, why would you do it? I love you, and I love your music, and I wish nothing but great fortune in the worst to come. But my God, you got to stop stepping on rakes, baby girl. You just got to knock it off.
Yeah, that's, I think, job number one. Stop stepping on the rakes.
Yeah, because then you get into a situation like this. So to recap for everybody, Chappell Roan not guilty. Bodyguard that isn't even hers goes off the map. Aggressive with the kid. We're all rich, we're all pretty, and we're all upset. And the news cycle rolls over. What's Jelly Roll gonna do today? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think you can find out because we'll talk about it on www.youtube.com/C/out on that line. See, that's why Alex does that all the time.
You got that absolutely correct. No notes.
That's, yeah, dude, type it in exactly as I said. You'll find your way there eventually. I promise you, folks. Well, Alex, did you have any other closing thoughts on this situation here?
I don't. I think we can consider this one case closed.
Case closed, folks. Till next time.